Hello everybody, it's Bev Lewis. This is week 5. Looking at the questions for this week for group 3. According to Polkinghorne, what is human science? Human science is a study and interpretation of the experiences, activities, structures, creations, and artifacts associated with being human. In other words, human science is the study of human phenomenon, or I guess you could say human science seeks to answer the question, what is the reality of being human? To study human phenomenon, it's necessary to use multi-systems of methods of inquiry, or like we talked about last week, the multi-methods approach. Polkinghorne goes into a lot of detail regarding the theory and structuralism, but I think the main point is that we have to use different kind of logic, a dialectical thinking, so that regardless of methodology, we have to recognize a new level of wholeness, that what we're looking at is more than just the sum of the individual parts. It's kind of like the saying about how do we eat an elephant? Well, we eat it one bite at a time. And the methodology for human science is we just have to decide on where we're going to bite first, while at the same time recognizing that it's all the same elephant. The second question. Using the Nelson and Krolowell-Tensky text, can you see yourself fitting into the critical researcher role, and how? Oh yes, I was extremely excited when I read this. I really liked the idea of critical research being a methodology in and of itself. I always sort of thought of research as being something tediously dry and boring, and the compilation of data and number crunching, but in actuality this type of research is could be inspirational and uplifting and action. It is an engagement that might really facilitate positive change even while it's happening, and affect social change in some big or small way. So between the two readings, I'm beginning to get a fuzzy idea of how to go about developing a plan for implementing critical research. And this is exactly what would have made it possible for to further the goals of my Energy Cafe that I built with the kids from high school. And I really like the idea that there is a way to effectively engage a group of people who are also the subjects of the critical research, and engaging them in the process of both determining goals and then working a means of going about meeting them. For group 3, according to Polkinghorne, how do non-living materials and structures fit with living and social systems to make up coherent whole systems? Non-living materials and structures arise from the living social systems. The parts, both living and not living, they cannot be considered separately. They do not exist as the same individual units out of context of one another, or outside of the whole system, or the systemic structure of living and non-living creation systems. In other words, structures emerge from the system as a whole and continue to flourish because of the interaction of the integrated unit. Like, for instance, if you have a house and you just leave it there, it will rot, but if people live in it, they maintain it, keep it going, and kind of like that. According to Nelson and Company, what are the challenges and limitations of critical research? The whole system theory ties in pretty well here with the critical research idea, because critical research requires the interaction of people or the whole system to meet the goal of the research to which it's directed. And it's necessary and essential for critical research to be wholly interactive with its subjects. And there, of course, lies the challenge and the limitation. First, critical research has to have a really good plan and a very specific focus. And because it's so interactive, it can only be as effective as the ability of the researchers to lead or delegate leadership accordingly. Now, the last question: how do these apply to our program, social responsibilities and sustainable communities, the goals of our program? And I would have to say everything about critical research applies here. The entire cohort ought to be based on this model if it isn't already. For example, the values of critical research that are necessary to effectuate social change must be learned, and therefore this method is perfect for this program. To summarize the values by Nelson from the reading, critical research is guided by values of self-determination and participation, and is characterized by an agenda of empowerment. It is also characterized by adherence to the values of community inclusion. Critical research has its roots in social justice and accountability, especially for oppressed groups, and it's based on a value of reflexivity, which means that research designs are flexible or emergent, and the methods emerge and develop out of the system to which they become necessary, and therefore critical research becomes an educational model that's expansive. That is all I have to say about this week, and thank you for listening. I'm very glad I got my recorder to work, or at least I hope I did. Have a good night. Okay, bye.